let you get into it.
My heart's like going. That was exciting.
Yeah.
So
Now, it's admittedly not very fast.
I'm pedal to the metal right now. Hey, welcome back to the Audrain Museum Network. Today, you don't join us in our normal spot of Newport, Rhode Island. We are in fact at Club Motorsports, and McLaren of Boston actually joined us, and we're doing some road tests in the new McLaren Artura. So we're in the 2025 McLaren Artura Spider. I'm joined by my friend here, Ben. Not Ben Chester. We do have another Ben featured on the YouTube channel, but this is a car that I've actually been very excited about driving. As you know, I'm a pretty big McLaren fan. I've always loved my Ferraris, but there's something really special about being in a McLaren. And Ben, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, happy to be here.
So for the viewers that don't know, tell us a little bit about this car. I know we have a V6, and that might be a little controversial.
Yeah. So the Artura is the launch of the first all-new powertrain for McLaren in a long time. Most of the McLarens, pretty much all of them up until this point, have been twin-turbo V8s. This is now a twin-turbo V6 hybrid powertrain, which is very different. One characteristic of a lot of McLarens is a little bit of turbo lag. You'll notice here, you don't really have to wait for the power.
Yeah.
It's all right there. So that 100 horsepower electric motor fills in the gaps. And if you stab that throttle, in a lot of other McLarens, you have to wait.
Yeah.
But it throws your head right back.
Absolutely instant.
Really great. It's a very smooth powertrain, very usable.
Yeah.
One characteristic of McLarens in general is the breadth of capability between road and track.
Yep.
So right now we're in comfort mode, and the suspension, very supple ride quality.
Yeah.
Good visibility.
That's the biggest thing for me with McLaren. Is I've had a decent amount of time in the 12C that we have in the Audrain collections, and you know, I grew up watching Top Gear, and I remember seeing the film that Jeremy Clarkson did comparing the McLaren 12C to the Ferrari 458. And the Ferrari 458 for me, I'm 27. I grew up when I really started loving cars is when the 458 came out, and I was absolutely blown away by the styling, the sound, all that. I've driven a 458. I love to drive the 458. But the minute I got in the 12C, I could not get over how good of its dual nature that it had, because it was just as fun driving it at normal road speeds, just like we're doing right now in this Artura Spider. But then when you put your foot into it, the level of performance that it could just rush you down the road. Also, handling wise, with that super advanced suspension that the 12C had at the time, where it's able to soak up all the bumps and give you a lot of confidence and can go down the road in comfort. And that's what I love about McLarens, is their dual nature. They do a really good job of that. And this is, having just driven the 12C and jumping into this, the fit and finish and the quality and the overall feeling of this is just taking it to the next level. It's very, very impressive.
Absolutely.
And it goes too.
And it revs really high. I mean, you haven't even got close to the red line. It's almost 8,500 RPM is the red line. I'm
trying to not aggravate the New Hampshire police departments around here, so I'm trying to keep it PG, but...
That's fair.
So we're in comfort, so you said sport. So in track mode, does it disable the systems like the 12C or no?
Nope, it keeps the traction control on, and actually with the Artura, it gains traction control function from the 720S from the Super Series, which is variable drift control.
Okay, we won't be trying that.
Not something we'll be doing today. But essentially what that does is it allows you to set the traction control somewhere between on and off. So you can tell the car, I'll let you get into it.
Yeah. That's a rocket ship.
It is.
It's faster than a 12C.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Much faster. And you know what? I gotta say, I've watched videos about this car, and the sound of it does not translate via video. In real life, it sounds a lot better than Does this have a sports exhaust system from McLaren, or is this just stock? Okay.
Yep, this is the sports exhaust.
Has a really nice tone to it. And it sounds a lot better. I'm sure the Maserati MC20 is a competitor of this car. This sounds a lot better than the MC20 does.
It does. The MC20, you get a lot more just turbo whooshes and noises in that way.
But
those are beautiful as well.
Oh, yeah. Great car. Just
I think this is a lot more of a driver's car.
Yeah.
Something we were talking about before off camera was the hydraulic steering.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's unmatched, I think, between any of its competitors.
It's my favorite part about McLaren is the steering. I just drove the Lotus Emira with V6 and a stick, which was really fun. And same thing with that. I fell in love with the steering. I mean, the electronic steering has come further. I mean, if you drive a 991 Porsche with the electronic steering, and then you drive a 992 Porsche, the electronic steering in the 992 Porsche has actually improved a lot. It's not a 997 with the hydraulic steering, but it's definitely getting better. But it's one of those things where you can't beat that feeling. I mean, it gives you so much confidence, and it makes the driving experience so much better. The way that you're feeling all the vibrations and everything through the steering wheel, and it just makes it improves your experience.
Absolutely. A lot of feedback coming through the wheel.
Now, does this have the cantilevered paddles like most McLarens where you... Okay, yeah.
It does, yep.
So for those that don't know, the McLarens have their paddle shifters on the steering wheel. So normally with paddle shifters, the right paddle for your right hand is to upshift. The left paddle is to downshift. But what's cool with McLarens, like a rally car, you can actually shift up and down with either hand that you would like, or one hand. So you can actually, if you press the down paddle, it'll actually upshift, and if you pull it, it'll downshift, and same if you upshift with your right hand. It's kind of cool that you can do it with both. I've always liked that.
Yeah, it is a unique feature.
I love the display. It's like the graphics are really, really good. The colors are really good. Everything is super easy to read. Generally, I like more of an analog dial. McLaren is all about technology, so I understand why they keep to this very, no nonsense display. But this, I think, is one of the best displays that you guys have done, for sure.
Agreed.
Super fast.
You get so much more noise into the cabin with the Spider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even with the top up, you can roll that rear window down and get all the sound in. It's great.
No, that's the best part. I think for me, the McLaren Spiders are more special anyway. Of course, something like a Senna or there we go. Okay, we're good. Something like a Senna or a P1 or whatever. Okay, yeah, those are the best McLarens. But
right, you're going to be spending 2, 3, 4 times as much.
Yeah. I also like how you guys did this new, display, and it's very, driver focused. How it's angled in on me, and that looks good.
Yeah,
and it's also pretty easy to use as well.
I was going to say, it's very easy to use, very smooth. Not very many distractions.
No.
And we've got Apple CarPlay for the first time in a McLaren as well. Small thing, but it's a big thing at the same time.
I do want to try it in fully electric mode. How do I do that?
So if you bump it down, so you can...
The pinnacle. Okay.
Use the down function there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
now we're in full EV.
Which is convenient if you like your neighbors and you want to leave early in the morning. If you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself, or even just in traffic. It's funny, on the way up, we hit some traffic in Boston. It was nice to just shut the engine off, cruise in electric mode, and just a little bit smoother.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So
now, it's admittedly not very fast.
I'm pedal to the metal right now. But that's really good, though.
It is, yeah. It's more for convenience than anything else, and then it's aiding that twin turbo V6 in the performance aspect.
See, I actually really, really like that, especially, my dad and I are definitely our I would say, our neighbor's least favorite people on the block because of all of the engine noises that are coming from all times of the day.
Yep.
And something like this would be amazing because you can just sneak right out or sneak right back in. I'm gonna go back into track mode because I'm a child, but that's really good.
It's very seamless while you're driving, going from electric to engine.
And I can see how, now that I've driven it in electric mode, how it just helps it, helps push it right along so it can go right into, avoiding all that turbo lag.
Right.
The Holy Trinity came out in 2013 with the LaFerrari P1 and the 918, and now they have the W1 and the Ferrari F80. I'm interested to see what Porsche does, and if Porsche actually kind of comes out with the Mission E like they said they were, or if they're going to stick with doing some sort of hybrid power plant, which I think they probably will end up doing.
Yeah, I think that it would make more sense to do a combustion engine car.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen with Rimac, it's an unbelievably impressive car, but I'm not sure. I don't know for sure, but I'm not sure the demand is really there for EV-only supercars and hypercars, at least not right now.
I don't know if you can tell me or give me any intel on the inner workings of McLaren, but do you think their plan is to stay with hybrid cars, or do you think that they do plan to go fully electric?
I think they're probably going to hold on to hybridization for as long as they can, in the same way that Porsche is holding on to naturally aspirated engines for as long as they can. I'm sure there's an EV coming. I don't know for sure. I don't get much insider info, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Damn, I was trying to figure it out.
I know.
Even at half throttle, that's so good. I've noticed that compared to my own driving experience with, the 12C and 620R and stuff that we have in the collection, to get those cars moving from a standstill, it's more of an input on the gas pedal, where this feels more like a traditional automatic when you kind of get off. Is that new programming, or is that just ease of access kind of thing?
I think it's probably a combination of fine-tuning over the years, but the hybrid system really helps with that.
Yeah, it's very, very smooth off the line and easy to use, rather.
Yeah.
But overall visibility is really, really good. That's what I always like about the McLarens.
Yeah, they've got a bit more of a bubbly shape to the top of them, more of a teardrop shape, as opposed to, for example, Lamborghini.
Yep.
To get that classic wedge shape, they have to get a really flat windscreen.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really aid in visibility, but makes for a cool look.
Yeah, I drove the Storado a couple weeks ago, and I don't know why, but I kept looking in the mirror, and it's like, okay, I don't even need to look in the mirror because they have all those slats in the back, and they have all the stuff on the roof. You can't see anything at all.
Right.
You might as well not even look.
Yeah.
I guess behind you doesn't matter, but what's behind you doesn't matter.
Yeah. I forget where it said. What was it? If what's behind is not important.
Yeah. So Italian.
Yeah. But on the Spider of the McLarens, they've got the glass buttresses behind. So if you look over your shoulder, you can actually see through the buttress.
I know.
It adds a little bit of visibility.
I noticed that earlier when we did that turnaround, and that was one of the, of course, again, I'm going to bring up the 12C because it's what I know from this brand, but it's like that's always been an issue whenever I drive that car, especially if I come to like a V in the road or where I really need to look over that way. This made it much easier to see what was directly behind me in my blind spot, which is a really nice improvement.
Yeah. It also looks really cool.
It does.
It's very unique.
It does.
McLaren specific look.
Yeah. Even interior wise, I feel like the overall fit and finish of this car is like really, really nice.
It is. It's a level above. It's funny. A lot of iterations from brands, when they go to a new model, it's maybe 30% new parts or 50% new parts.
Yep.
This is over 90% over the 570S.
Wow.
So this is completely new from the ground up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always joke when people do road tests and somebody will say, oh, you could drive this car every day. You actually could drive this car every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, rides very comfortably. Like we're talking about, the visibility is very good. It's got a pretty spacious front trunk. And plenty of power to get out of the way of traffic.
Yeah. It sounds really, really good.
It does. I was, like most people, was skeptical about the V6.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really? Like, I don't know. I probably prefer a V8.
Sounds
but
really, really good.
It does, and it changes the tone as you go through the RPM.
It really does. I love the steering. The steering is so good.
It's also cool to know that you've got so much trickle-down technology from the racing division.
Yeah.
I mean, McLaren is a racing company first.
Yep.
And they happen to build road cars at the same time. So,
Yep.
I mean, these are built in the same building as the Formula One cars.
It's so cool.
Carbon tub chassis, just like the Formula One cars. The carbon fiber manufacturing is really where McLaren shines.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the chassis technology. I mean, I can even feel the improvements in this car over what I've driven in the past. The biggest thing for me with these cars is I feel like sometimes they get a bad rep, whether, people say that, oh, they're soulless or whatever it may be, but I don't feel that. Whenever I drive one, it always makes me feel special. Like I very much feel special, and I feel like it's a great privilege for me to get the opportunity to drive this car, and I feel like that's hard to create with some other stuff.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's one thing to read about the car and see it online, but to experience it is a different thing, and it is a special car. It is.
I'm looking at the battery percentage. Does this have regenerative braking, or is it just plug-in?
So it does have regen, but it's not under braking because McLaren didn't want to mess with the feel of the brakes.
Okay.
So you'll notice it doesn't in track mode, but in all the other modes, as you go through the gears, if you're really on the throttle or high RPM off the throttle, it will use the engine revs to charge the battery.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's very, very, very fast.
Plenty of power.
I mean, I know the 720 and now the 750 are ridiculously fast cars, but this is like way faster than you'd ever need to go.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. People.
And I wasn't even at redline there. I was at like 7,500 RPM.
Right. But it's such a level above the 570S that I don't even consider it a direct replacement. I think it's it's a level above because it's getting that much closer to the 720S.
I mean, I'm like, my heart's like going. That was exciting.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, thank you so much. I think I'm going to be eternally tortured now that I drove this and can't bring it home with me, but that was really, really fun. Thank you very much.
Of course. It's been a pleasure.